Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Frank back with you. I'm glad to be here with you again today, starting a new series. Full disclosure, I had planned on going on the road for this series and visiting some of my old haunts from childhood and showing how they've changed, but I'm going to table that for about another month. I had to go on a little brief hiatus due to a necessary job change. And that I'm very happy about. But I'm awful glad to be back. So we're going to continue on with a couple of more segments regarding the Navigating Middle Age series I've been doing for a while. And because, as usual, things pop into my head. And as anyone who knows me will tell you, that means they have to come right out of my mouth, almost to a fault sometimes. So this one for today is called Dreams. Okay? This one is called Dreams, the disappointment and the realization. Now, we all have dreams, right? When we're kids, my generation, we were still of the ilk that we wanted to be astronauts and cowboys, at least the guys. We wanted to do big things, and the kids of today are no different. Their big things are just a little bit different than ours are. Whereas we wanted to maybe be an astronaut or a firefighter, they want to be .com owners or something like that. I don't know. Shows you how out of touch I am with the current generation. But here's the fact about dreams. We all have kind of ideas on how our life is going to unfold, right? When we're young, and I'm not even talking about being a small kid, I'm talking about during our teenage years or even early adulthood, we all kind of have ideas about how our life is going to unfold, like what's going to happen with us. With regard to career and our personal lives and our relationships. And I know I'm not going to break any news to you by telling you that things don't usually work out that way. They don't usually work out the ideal way we have in our head. Those ideas normally we get maybe, I think, predominantly from the media and by watching TV and movies, and a lot of them aren't realistic anyway. But we all want certain things out of life. We all want a good career that's fruitful for us. We want a relationship that is healthy and satisfying. Maybe a lot of us wanted kids, some don't. And we all have kind of an idea of where we see ourselves 20, 30, 40 years in the future. It usually doesn't happen that way. It usually happens, usually the road is not straight, it's usually curvy, and it usually takes a whole lot of detours. And in the process, we often feel a lot of disappointment. When you get to be my age, you do a lot of looking back on your life. You do a lot of soul searching, a lot of introspection, both good and bad, to see what went right, what went wrong. And for a lot of us, a lot went right and a lot went wrong. I don't know where your balance is. I know where mine is. But this is what I want to say to you about that. Our first inclination, I think, at the age I am now, is to look back on where you thought you'd be and where you are now and be very disappointed. Because a lot of us don't achieve the goals that we set out to do. I can speak, obviously, I'm speaking personally, this is me talking. I thought that, career wise, I was going to go in a whole different route. I had, initially I had those crazy ideas when I was younger, that I was going to be famous and be on TV or in the movies. But as I grew older, my goals became a little more realistic career wise. Whereas, I knew as much as I liked basketball in the NBA, at 5'6" and 5'7" and 145, that's not the weight I am now, as you can clearly see. But I wasn't making the NBA. I wasn't going to be a pro football player or whatever. But as my goals became more realistic, I thought I was going to teach in an elementary school, teach at a junior or senior high level. I went to college for that, and that's what I thought I was going to do. I found out I was very good at it as well. It didn't play out that way. My dream at that time was to go teach at my old high school, as many of my teachers had done. They had gone through there and they taught, and that didn't happen for me for a lot of different reasons. So I ended up with a different career path. When I look back at what I thought my relationship, my marriage was going to look like as a teenager, as a young adult, it didn't play out that way either. Same with our idea of having children. Um, but here I am at 52, looking back on where my life did go. And I think me, like a lot of other people, if I allow myself to, I could view a huge sense of disappointment based on that. Because no, I did not ever become a secondary school teacher at my high school. My marriage didn't play out exactly the way I wanted it to. Your kids don't grow up perfect, newsflash there. So, there's a lot of things you can look back on and say, like, wow, that didn't really go, I'm so disappointed, like, failed at this, failed at that. But here's what I want to share with you. Here's what I learned over the past few years. Now, eventually, what I did do with a career is I became a counselor. I found that I had a good inclination to be a good listener and talk to people and give advice, even when I wasn't taking it in my own life, which I think is most counselors. And so I took a job as a counselor. I did mental health counseling. I counseled families, kids in foster care, and eventually settled into drug and alcohol counseling. And what I found is it was very fulfilling. It's very heartbreaking too sometimes, but it was very fulfilling for me. No, it wasn't teaching at my old high school. No, it wasn't, having that sense of like I accomplished exactly what I set out to do. But in the midst of feeling all this disappointment, I had clients I had seen years ago when they were children come to me. They would see me out and say, you really helped me. You really changed my life. And even today, now that I'm doing drug and alcohol counseling, people come up to me all the time and they tell me that I help them. And I mean, I'm not a prideful person. I think we all want to have a sense of accomplishment in what we do. So my first inclination, I guess, is to take pride in it and say, yeah, I'm pretty good. And then the low self-esteem part of me takes over and says, how could you have possibly changed that? How could that possibly have happened? So I'm kind of counterbalancing those two things. But what I found is I did make a difference. And I made a difference with my children, and I made a difference with my wife. And although things didn't play out exactly as I thought they would, maybe I'm just where I'm supposed to be. And that's okay. So my message to everybody out there today is, if your life didn't play out exactly as you thought it would, I mean, whose did? Maybe you're just where you're supposed to be. So you have two choices. You could look back on the things you didn't accomplish, whatever they are, occupationally, relationally, socially, whatever. You could look upon that with a sense of disappointment and regret, or you can look at what you have accomplished and say, well, that was the path I wanted, but maybe not the path I needed to be on. Because this is what I found through a lot of study. If you look at life in general, if you look at the Bible is chock full of people who didn't necessarily end up where they wanted to be, but it's where they needed to be. Abraham, David, Moses. A lot of them didn't want the roles that were thrust upon them, but that's what they needed to do. And even here and now, I don't know that somebody like Martin Luther King, I can't speak with all certainty, I don't know that he wanted the role that he ended up having, but he was quite important. And there's many other examples of that. So for regular people like you and me, maybe you're not where you wanted to be, but maybe you're exactly where you need to be. That's my message for you today. Thanks for tuning in again. All my videos, as always, are available on YouTube. I'm so thankful for everybody that takes the time to watch these and comment. It warms my heart when I go out, because sometimes I don't get comments. So, the low self-esteem part of me sometimes says, I guess nobody's watching. But I'm always running into people who say they see the videos and they appreciate them. And for that, I appreciate you. So take care, everybody. Enjoy your mid-June day here. It's a beautiful day out. I'll be back with you soon with another entry in the series. Take care. Be good to yourself and each other there, Jerry Springer. Peace out.